Again, continuation from yesterday topic engineering survey and this type and scope of survey. We have started some discussion yesterday and we have covered this uh, topic. I think with the introduction part has been there. Then we have discussed this engineering definition. Then we have discussed the definition of surveying, isn't it? Then we have discussed uh, this the definition of engineering survey. Is all our discussion has been done yesterday, right? So we will start where we have finished yesterday. Surveying definition has been done, isn't it? And surveying process that has been also discussed yesterday. Objectives has been clearly explained. Uses, one can easily understand the uses, and through all these maps the uses has been discussed. And so I don't think any doubt related to this aspect you people have, but still your question will be entertained if you have a good question related to the topic. Right, so yesterday up to this primary division we have finished. So I'll start from here again, just a brief I like to discuss with that. So yesterday we have discussed the primary division of surveying. The two division is the plane and geodetic. What the difference between that? In the plane we are considering Earth surface as a plane, but there is one restriction. The area should be less than 250 kilometers square, but if the area is more than 250 kilometers square, then we have to treat the curvature of Earth as it is, as a curve. So these are the plane and geodetic division of surveying we have to understand, and we have already discussed yesterday. So I'll start another important concept from today itself that one need to understand, and this is the concept that has been used in surveying in a very detailed manner, and that is very important concept, that is fundamental principle. And generally in the surveying these two principle has to act there, so you all have to understand it properly. And one more thing I like to say here, again sit with the pen and paper so that you can notate the things, understand the things properly. So there is two principle. First is principle 1, which state these two statement: whole to part and always work from whole to part. I'll explain you everything, but first just look at the slide. Principle number 1, whole to part and always work from whole to part. And second principle is locate a point by at least two measurements. To locate a new station by at least two measurements, linear or angular, from fixed reference point. So whenever the surveying work has started, or a person or the surveyor has to start this process, surveying process I'm talking about, then by the time he start with the surveying process, these two principle has to work here, right? And what the purpose of using all these principles, so that we are able to minimize the error. The purpose only that error minimization is required. So one by one I like to explain you both the principles. So first we go through this whole to part principle. It means what? Suppose we have one area, something like that, whatever the area we have, and then we have to collect certain information, or we have to collect certain data from this area, right? So what the first thing that a surveyor has to do, or a person has to do, you have to divide this area in a small part. Have you get that? Right? So that's a whole to part. And how this thing has been: first you locate one control point or one fixed point, one station, and from there you can divide the whole area like that. Have you get that? So from whole to part, and then try to collect the data from each area. Rather than collecting the data from whole area at once, better you divide a big area into small part, then collect the data or do your surveying practices here. That is the first principle, whole to part. Have you get that? Is it clear to all of you? The basic concept behind this? Is it okay? And what the purpose? Why we are doing this? So that we can minimize the error. We have to reduce the accumulation of error here. This is the simple objective or the purpose for the very first principle. So I have just simplified it. Right. Again you read it. Whole to part always work from whole to part. It means a complete area has to be divided into small part, and then you have to work in each part, or the part that you have to work. It is not necessary that you have to make a survey whole area. You can survey only those areas which are used, in which you are interested, right? Where you have to do work or any area of interest you have selecting, and then you have to start the work there. That is principle number one. That's very important. That's why the name fundamental is there, because whenever the survey work has to start, we have to follow both the principle 1 and principle 2. If area is small, we need to avoid principle 1, because area is small, we can easily collect the data. But if area is big, again divide the area into small part, and then you can start your work or your surveying practice there to collect the observation. And the purpose, as I told you, purpose is to avoid the errors. And if you just look at it, and if some error will be there, right? This thing that you have to understand there, if some error will be there, so that you can easily localize the error, right? For just look at the image itself. For example, you are working here, and since we have the data for area 1, area 2, area 3, area 4, area 5, so if you get some error, so you can easily localized, okay, area from this part or area from this part easily. Right, the things will be very simple. So this is one help you are getting from this principle. It is going to help in the localizing the error, right? Have you get that? And you just take the another picture. Suppose you are taking the whole area as it is, then what will happen? You will, the error will get accumulated, and if errors will be accumulated, so there will chances the large errors should not be acceptable. But in a area, in a small area, if error is bit small, that can be avoided. Despite we have to do the things accurately, but if some minor error is there, so one can avoid that, isn't it? And but if whole area will be there, so all this error will get accumulated, and the error may unacceptable. Have you get that? So these are the one simplification of principle 1. So if any question you people have, you can ask a question from this part first, then I'll move ahead. Any question from here? Okay, and you can easily understand these things. If the error is localized, then what will happen? It is not going to affect the whole work, isn't it? Because you can easily know that the area error in this part is there, so it is not going to affect the observation on the other part also there. So these are some advantage that you have if you are using the principle 1 for surveying work. I hope the thing is clear to all of you. So any question from anyone? No question at all. Huh? Right. Now we need to understand the principle 2. So again we need to read it. Locate a point by at least 2 measurement. Look at there. Locate a point by at least 2 measurement, and the second is to locate a new station by at least 2 measurement from a fixed reference point. Have you get that? From a fixed reference point. Is it clear? So first you need to understand these two statements. Locate a point by at least two measurements. It means you have to take two reference point and then you have to locate one station. Is it clear? Have you get that? And your measurement may be linear, may be angular. Now let me explain you through this demonstration. You can easily understand that, right? So you just take an example. For example, we have two reference point, A and B, right? Is it clear? This is two reference point, and we have to locate one station, or the locating point you can say that C. We have to locate it. Is it clear? So again I back to the principle, locate a point by at least two measurements. To locate a new station by at least two measurements from a fixed reference point. So how we can apply the principle here? So first you look at here, we have a two reference point A and B, and we have to locating the point C there. So before starting the location, there is some simple work has to be done first. The distance of AB can be measured accurately, right? These things should be there. You must know the distance between A and B properly, and you have all this information related to this point A and B also there. Then you have to locate the point C. So how the things can be done there? Just look at it, right? So you can take a simple linear measurement. This is the one way. Simple linear measurement from A and B. Maybe distance is D1, distance is D2, and you can locate the point C. Have you get that? This is called simple linear measurement. Is it clear? Again, listen carefully, you can understand easily. You just take a linear measurement from point A and B for C. Have you get that? This is the one way we are locating C from two fixed point A and B. Is it clear? This first thing is clear to all of you? Now, what the another way? This is the one way we can locate. The another thing is there. We have A and B. We have A and B. We have to locate the point C. So how the location can be made there? So just draw a perpendicular from C to D. One point D is there, perpendicular, right? And take this as a linear measurement, and we are able to locate the point C here. Have you get that? So taking linear measurement of perpendicular from D to C. This is another way to represent the C from two reference point A and B. This is clear? Fine. Okay. Now some more way to represent the same thing here. Again you take A and B. We have a C. I have to locate the C. How the things can be done? So you can take one linear measurement or one angular measurement. Is it clear? This could be theta. This is D. So you can take one linear measurement and one angular measurement. Again you can locate the C. Isn't it? I hope you have understand what I am saying. The location means, suppose you are doing survey, so you can easily write on the paper that from A, the distance between the distance of C from A is this much, and from the B, from this side means direction with an angle you can represent. right? If we are using this method, so this is the thing that you have to use. If we are with the very first what I told you, okay, linear measurement, so you can say that okay, from A, C is this x distance from A and y distance from B. Have you get that? And then another is if you take the AB as a line, then perpendicular from D to C is this much. This is the linear measurement we have. So these are the some representation through which you are able to locate the point. See here, there is some more way to do that, right? What the other thing is there? You can take only angular measurement. You can just take only angular measurement. For example, we have A and B. Let me delete it. A and B, and this is point C. So one angular measurement from A, another angular measurement from C. For example, this is theta 1. So this is theta 2. So you can represent point C by saying that the location of C is with this angle from A and with this angle from point B there. Is it clear? The concept is clear to all of you? So all of you get this principle too also there? Is there any doubt? I am asking to all of you. See, very few students are responding, but I am expecting this. Those who are attending the class properly, they should have this kind of affirmation. If they are able to understand, or if there is any kind of doubt, something like that. So, is there any question from these two principles from anyone? Right. Okay. So, after understanding this principle, we need to go for this surveying classification. How you can classify the surveying, right? So there are 5 classification has been there based on accuracy desired, based on instrument used, based on place of survey, based on purpose of surveying, based on method of survey. So I like to explain you one by one here. Clear? So first this based on accuracy desired. So we have a two method, plane surveying and geodetic surveying, and both the methods are already explained. So I don't think I have to again detail the both method here. So if you need an accurate surveying, either you can adopt this plane surveying or you can do the geodetic. But the condition you can understand that if it is less than 250 kilometer square area, you can go for plane surveying. If it is more than, you have to go for this geodetic surveying, right? Fine. And the based of instrument used, based on instrument used. See, whenever again we all come to the college, I'll show you all the instrument because we have lots of instrument of engineering there also there. But here I through the diagram I'll try to explain you everything. So based on instrument used, what kind of instrument we are using? We have a chain, compass, chain and compass. Then labeling. Label is one instrument. Plane table survey, theodolite, tachyometry, photometry and electronic distance measuring. So these are the instruments that has been used for the surveying purpose. So let me explain you again all these individually, and I'll just give you the brief introduction today, and later on I'll going to elaborate everything in some other lecture. So first, chain survey. So you just look at here, this is one kind of chain, right? And the purpose of this chain survey is just to take the linear measurement. We can't take any angular measurement from that because it is similar. It is just similar to a measuring tape, isn't it? It is just made out of metal, and tape is either cloth or something that is similar to measuring tape with certain scientific calibration is there that I'll explain you later on. Fine, and we'll just get the linear measurement. Have you get that? So using this chain survey. If we need an angular measurement, so we have to go with the compass survey. We have a compass, engineering compass. We have the surveyor compass that we are using, right, to get the angular measurement here. And then you have a labeling survey, right? So label, there is one instrument. This instrument is called label instrument, right? The name of instrument is label. Please, you need to understand, assembly student, understand label means that English word, this label. That's not here. Label is the name of instrument, right? Name of instrument is there, so that you can determine the vertical distance and relative height of the point as you look in the image itself. Have you get that? So this is the instrument label. So through this instrument we can conduct certain survey there. Then we have another instrument, plane table survey. So this is plane table survey. You have look at that. We have a table here, and there is some instrument has to be used. For example, we have this label instrument. Then we have this LED instrument is there. So lots of instrument has to be used for plane table survey. The one advantage with this table survey is that during the field work, right, you can plot the information also on the paper in the same time. This is the one advantage of this plane survey. Then we have this theodolite. This is one instrument that is called theodolite. Even I think all of you have seen that anywhere some roads or something, if you see some person are using one kind of instrument on the road to getting some measurements, so that is theodolite. So using this instrument we are taking angles in both horizontal and vertical planes. So this is one instrument we have. And then we have this tachyometric. This is one optical instrument based on optical theory. Tachyometric, the instrument name is tachyometric survey, right? Tachyometry is there. So this instrument is also used for this rapid surveying. Have we get that? And when you are using this tachyometric instrument, you are not supposed to use any chain or tape or any other leveling instrument, right? It can serve the purpose of all these three instruments here. Then we have photometry survey. I already explained everything related to this photometry survey, isn't it? We have a aerial photograph, and through this aerial photograph we can do the surveying activity. And then you have this EDM survey. There is another instrument we have that is called electronic distance measuring instrument, right? This instrument is using electromagnetic waves to measure the distance between two points. Have you guessed? So these are some important instrument that has been used for any kind of survey. So if you have intention to classify the survey on the basis of instrument, so these are the instrument that you should know there. Have you get that? Any question up to this point? Any question? Okay. Now the another classification is on the place of survey. Place of survey. Place of survey. So look at that. Yesterday I have explained all this survey. Place of survey means the land survey, topographical, cadastral. Topographical, I told you, elevations and all the hills will be there. Cadastral, the city map, then city survey, the hydrographical survey, underground survey, aerial survey. All this survey has been explained yesterday, isn't it? So if you are classifying on the basis of place of survey, so these are the classification. Even the name suggests a place where you are doing the survey activity. So place of survey. Then we have another classification, purpose. What is the purpose of surveying? So for engineering, you are doing the surveying. Engineering means you have to establish engineering structures. Engineering structures means either you are making bridges or you are making railway tracks, something like that. So then you are doing the surveying for that purpose only. Defense, then geological, geographical, mining activity has to be, then archaeological, routing. Route means you have to make a road or any path supposed to have to find. Then you have reconnaissance survey, preliminary, controlled, and location survey, isn't it? So purpose, what the purpose is there? Location, suppose you have to identify the location. So we are doing surveying for to identify the location. Control, I have told you, you have to make a fixed station. From here, all this survey activity has to be done. That is control, isn't it? So again, if you are doing the survey activity to find the control point, so that is your purpose, and you are performing your surveying activity. And most of the things has been already explained yesterday, isn't it? So I'm not going to get into details on. This is the things that I like to explain based on the method of survey. So there is two methods that one need to understand: triangulation and traversing. Triangulation and traversing, right? So let me explain what is triangulation, what is traversing. I think traversing, most of people know what is traversing, as I know that. Traversing, have you heard this word? You all have done that. Chalo. Okay, let me explain you what is triangulation. So as you look at that, the name suggests triangulation. Triangulation means is made up of triangle. Name is triangle. From triangle, triangulation has been made. So what the things that need to perform here is, for example, you have to survey a large area, right? Just a large area is there. So what you are doing, you are dividing the entire area into network of triangles, right? So that is called triangulation. Is it clear? Again, listen carefully. Triangulation name has been derived from the triangle. So what the things has to be, and this is a very basic method of surveying. So when you need to survey of those area that is very large, then you can adopt this triangulation method. And what the activity has to be done in this, the entire area is divided into network of triangles, right? Now traversing. What is traversing? Traversing is basically circuit of survey lines. Circuit of survey lines, right? Circuit of survey lines is traversing, and it may be open, it may be closed. So again, through the demonstration I'll have to explain it. For example, I have to survey one city and there are some houses is there, right? Some houses is something like that. House 1 2 3, and door is up. This is the door side. This is the door side that we have to do. Traversing means circuit of surveillance. It means, for example, you have started your surveying from here. You are just moving by getting the data of this house, then getting the data of this house, then you are moving like that to collecting the data. Again, you are moving to this house, then again you are moving like that, and you have reached here, right? This is called traversing. This is called traversing, right? So it is open and close, right? Why it is called open and close? It means if you reach the very first position, this is close traversing. Have you get that? This is close traversing. Have you get that? And if you are not reaching this place and you are stopping somewhere here or some place this, so this is called open traversing. It means open will be something like that, close will be something like that. Is it clear? The concept is clear to all of you? Any question up to this point? So listen, what is traverse? What unit was a traverse? Traverse is the term is a bit technical, but traveling, you know, then traveling. You are just traveling, right? Just make an imagination that you are in your village. Just try to understand, Andriana. You are in a village. There is some path you have decided to follow, and you have intention to collect the data whatever will come into your path, right? So you are collecting all the data from the left and right. What is there from the left of your path? Maybe one small pond, left, right will be one farm and something like that, right? So that is called traversing. That's why it's called a circuit of survey line, because the path that you have selected is act as a survey line, because you are um, observing all the information that is available there. Is it clear? That is traversing. So if you are starting from one point and reaching the another point, that is open traversing. But if you are started from point A and again by doing all these traversing activity and again you come to the point A, so that is called close traversing. Is it clear to all of you now again?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
हाँ भाई, what about the others? पूछना पड़ेगा तुमको. अबे मेबासन रानी, are you there? And Nitas Nirola, Rama Londa. Is the concept clear to all of you? Is there any question from anyone then? Shreya Sonali, the concept is clear? Okay, then we are moving to the next thing. And then we close. Difference between plan and map. As I told you yesterday, we need to understand these things also there. Difference between plan and map, that we also need to understand, because yesterday I have used this term several times, plan map. So I like to make you clear the concept of plan and map, right? So plan, what is plan? So obviously it's the graphical representation to some scale. Scale you people already understand. In the remote sensing classes I've explained you scale. Scale means we are just taking certain scale with the match with the real object, isn't it? And then we are depicting all these things on a piece of paper or anywhere. So plan is a graphical representation to some scale of the features on near or below the surface of the earth as projected on a horizontal plane. It means on a horizontal plane, right? We are representing all those features of the earth, maybe either on the surface of the earth or below the surface of the earth, by using the concept of scale, right? That is plan, right? And if the graphical projection on horizontal plane is small, that is called map. That is called map. Have you get the difference? This is the first technical difference that we need to understand between plan and map, right? And let me elaborate you so that you understand the things easily. If you go for the plan is a detailed drawing. Is it clear? Whatever the small area you are surveying, plan include the detailed drawing of that particular area, right? And when you are doing a plan, so details are given in the form of certain symbols. You are using some technical symbols, that again I have to discuss someday. Some technical symbols has to be used, right, to represent those details, right? And also the plan is going to show the length and breadth of whatever the area or whatever the feature you are surveying. Where in the map? In the map, what the things has to be done? In the map, you can study a part or a whole of the earth with the help of a map, isn't it? And map is in map you'll get a very minute information has been there, and is also include very important features only, right? And in a map, lots of information you are supposed to get there. So this is the some differences between plan and map. Have you get that? Because when I've discussed the objective of survey, I've told that the objective of surveying is to make a plan or a map. So one need to understand the difference between plan and map also. Is it clear? Is there any question from anyone? Right? You can just look at the things here. This is one representation. I am getting one image so that one can easily understand the plan and map here. Right? So this is all about for this today's topic. So